Then, a sound. A faint shuffle in the corridor outside her room. Mama's head snapped toward the door. Who could that be at this time of night, she thought. Her heart began to thump. The sound came again, closer. The door handle jiggled. Mama jumped, letting out a small squeal. She grabbed her phone and tried calling Detective Obinna, but her trembling fingers froze in fear. Her chest tightened. Hello? Who is it? What do you want? Silence. No answer. Who are you? Her heart pounded in her chest. What do you want? Go away. Leave me alone. Just the click of metal against metal. Then bam! 2 masked men surged inside. Rough hands grabbed her arms before she could scream. Her headscarf slipped to the floor. Her phone slid from her hand, hitting the ground with a dull thud. The men dragged her toward the door as she kicked and shouted, her voice lost in the roar of the rain. On the cold hotel floor, only her scarf and her phone remained. The wipers squeaked across the windscreen as Detective Obinna's sedan rolled to a stop outside the rundown hotel. He'd ignored Mama Njideka's calls for 2 days, not because he'd forgotten her, but because he'd been chasing leads. Tonight, he'd come to bring her news. He reached for the door handle, then froze. Up ahead, in the flickering yellow glow of the streetlight, 2 masked men were dragging an elderly woman out of the hotel entrance. Her bare feet scraped against the wet pavement, her muffled cries lost in the rain. Obinna's gut clenched. Mama? In one fluid motion, he was out of the car, his gun drawn. Police! Stop! Freeze! Or I'll shoot! He yelled, his voice cutting through the downpour. The men turned, startled, their eye darting in fear. Within seconds, one was face down on the ground with Obinna's knee pressed into his back. The other man tried to bolt. Obinna fired, hitting the man in the leg. He went down. Mama stumbled forward, collapsing into Obinna's arms, trembling. It's okay, Mama. You're safe now. Obinna's eyes never left the men. Obinna then reached for his radio phone. This is Detective Obinna Okeke. I'm at the Broad Street Hotel. 2 suspects in custody. Attempted abduction. Send backup now. The line crackled with a quick response. On our way, sir. Obinna holstered his gun, but kept his stance wide and ready, the rain dripping from the brim of his suit jacket. He looked at the old lady and knew she too was now a target. Later that night, she was led to Detective Obinna's office. She gasped the moment she stepped inside. The wall was covered in photographs, faces she recognized and some she didn't. There was a large picture of the Ajus, another of Barrister Iche. High on the wall, the image of Chief Nwankwo, regal and commanding. And at the center of it all was her daughter, Sally. Below it, a photo of a young girl, Adora, wrapped in her father's arms. Beside them, 2 more images, the former family lawyer and the new one who'd quietly taken over after Eche's mysterious resignation and disappearance. Please, Mama, Obinna said gently, guiding her to a chair in front of his desk. Sit. How are you feeling? Mama nodded. I'm fine, Detective. They didn't hurt me, just raised my blood pressure. She tried to joke. She cleared her voice. You had me worried, Detective. I thought you had forgotten about me, about my daughter. Obinna smiled faintly. Well, as you can see, I haven't. He motioned toward the wall. Then he sat opposite her. I visited the Ajus. Mama knowingly nodded. She sat forward. And what did they say, Detective? Well, first, her story is different to yours. She claims your daughter met a man, and they left for the States, and she knows nothing more. But that's not what she told me. I know, Detective Obinna said. He took a breath. Mama, I'll be blunt. Your daughter, whether intentionally or not, may have uncovered a crime unlike anything this city has seen since the Zainab, Obiori, and Ria Rain cases. He leaned in, voice low but sure. And if my investigation confirms what I suspect, Mama, I'm sorry to say, the chances of finding your daughter alive are slim to none. Mom and Njideka didn't flinch. Sally had already come to her in a dream. She knew. She had prepared herself, braced for the worst, accepted that her only child might have stumbled into something too dangerous to survive. She looked down at her trembling hands, rubbing them slowly. Go on, detective. Obinna stood and walked to the evidence wall. Here's what we know so far. The Ajus may not be who they say they are. Mama's brow furrowed. I don't understand. The letter your daughter wrote led us to Barrister Eche, the family's former lawyer. And everything, Mama, everything circles around one number, 7. 7, she repeated. I don't understand, detective. Obinna pointed to the portrait of Chief Nwankwo. Okay, follow me carefully. 7 years ago, Chief Nwankwo hired a bright young man named Alex Nathaniel Aju. Aju made quite the impression. In just a few months, the chief made him his right-hand man, trusted him, put him in charge of contracts, investments, entire businesses. But here's what few people knew. The chief had a daughter, Adora Catherine Nwankwo. He sent her to boarding school in Switzerland when she was very young, told almost no one about her. He was protecting her. As the years passed, people forgot she even existed, just how the chief wanted it. Obinna glanced back at Mama. Alex, up until that point, had no idea the chief had an heir. But Alex found out, and he discovered that Adora was the chief's only child. She stood to inherit everything. This threw a wrench into Alex's plans. Mama's mouth parted slightly, but she said nothing. Back then, the chief, fit, healthy, only 57, suddenly collapses and dies. Just 2 weeks after being given a clean bill of health. 7 years ago, Adora returns to Nigeria. Within weeks, she marries Alex. And soon after, using her late father's lawyer, Barrister Eche, and her new husband's lawyer, Emeka Ibe, she transfers all her father's assets to Alex. Exactly 7 years ago. Mama's face frowned, her voice a whisper. Why would she do that? Obinna's voice tightened. As a detective, I see many red flags. Mama shook her head. Are you saying Alex Aju may have had something to do with Chief Nwankwo's death? It's possible, Obinna replied. So, just to clarify, he pointed to the next image on the wall. 7 years ago, Barrister Eche, Chief Nwankwo's longtime family lawyer, suddenly resigns, then disappears, vanishes, but before he does, he transfers all the chief's legal documents and assets into the hands of the Aju's newly appointed legal team. Barrister Ibe, Mama said, the same barrister my daughter overheard in the garden that fateful evening. Mama blinked, speechless. He's never been seen or heard from again. That is until that evening when he resurfaces, trying to blackmail the Ajus and the lawyer for his silence. And yes, that is the conversation Sally overheard. Obinna sat back down. If we can just recover that letter your daughter tried to send you, the one they burned, if we can confirm what she wrote, the written words from the only witness, we might be able to finally solve your daughter's disappearance. The city was quiet when Mama Njideka stepped out of Detective Obinna's office. One of the female officers was kind enough to give her some confiscated clothes and shoes. They weren't her style, but they were dry. The detective had offered to pay for her to return to the village for her safety, but she declined. She was not leaving the city without her daughter, dead or alive. The streetlights blinked weakly as if mourning with her, their glow hazy in the damp Lagos air. Her feet moved before her mind caught up, and soon she found herself wandering, no destination, no purpose, just grief and instinct leading the way. She walked for hours, through alleys, past sleeping shops, down empty boulevards, and then, as if drawn by an invisible thread, she stopped. There it was, the Ajus mansion, looming, silent, lit only by soft security lights that danced off its cream-colored stone walls. The same mansion her daughter had once entered, laughing and hopeful. The same mansion she never came out of. Mama crossed the road and stood on the opposite curb, staring at the gate. Her breathing slowed. The wind whispered through the trees that lined the estate, rustling their leaves like murmured secrets. Then, something flickered in her mind. A dream. No, a memory. She saw Sally, behind the black wrought iron gates, her daughter dressed in the black and white uniform she wore to serve the Ajus household. Her eyes were wide with fear, her hands gripping the bars as if they burned. "Mama," the girl cried out, her voice trembling. "Please, I'm trapped. Help me. I want to come home." Mama couldn't move. She couldn't breathe. It felt so real. Sally's voice echoed again. "Please, free me." The image vanished. Mama clutched her wrapper tightly to her chest, shaking. She looked up at the house again and whispered, "Sally, where are you? I will not rest. I swear on everything I hold sacred." She didn't know if she was dreaming or if grief was playing with her mind, but she felt more determined than ever. She sat on the low stone ledge across the road and let her thoughts race. That letter. What was Sally trying to tell me? If the will was fake, then did Mr. Ajus kill Chief Nwankwo? And that woman, Mrs. Ajus, has she been a victim all along, or is she something worse? The questions offered no comfort, only weight. Eventually, the night wrapped her in its arms. She rose, her bones stiff from sitting too long, and made her way back to the small hotel tucked behind the market square, much to Detective Obinna's objections. She was given a new room. She was weary, but not afraid. It was hard to feel fear when her heart felt as if it had been ripped out. She collapsed onto the bed without changing. But sleep came with a price. The next day, Mama returned to her quiet vigil. Same bench, same spot, same mansion across the road. She sat there for hours, watching the windows, the gates, the guards that came and went like ghosts. Her eyes never left the house. "Sally," she whispered, "I'm still here." The sky had just begun to darken when her phone rang. She jumped. It was Detective Obinna. His voice was hurried, tinged with both excitement and urgency. "Mama, we found him, Chief Nwankwo's old family lawyer, Barrister Eche." Her heart skipped. Eche? He vanished from law years ago, changed his name. He's running a busy auto repair shop now, just outside the city. We got lucky. One of my men recognized him from a wedding photo. "And he's singing like a bird," said the detective. There was a short pause on the line as Obinna caught his breath. "Mama, I need you to do something for me. I need you to leave that area, right now." "Why?" she asked. "Because things are about to go down. I can't say more yet. But if the Ajus catch wind of what we're about to uncover, it could be dangerous. Please, go back to your hotel. Lock your door. I'll call you when it's safe." Mama clutched the phone tight. "Detective, please, have you found my daughter?" The line was quiet for a beat. Then softly, almost as if he'd forgotten what this case was truly about, he answered, "I haven't forgotten, Ma. This is all because of her. I'll be in touch." Click. The line went dead. Mama stared at the screen, and then across the road. The mansion sat there, smug and still, but its days were numbered. She turned and began walking, back to the hotel, back to wait. Mama Njideka couldn't sleep. She paced the small hotel room like a caged animal. The hours crawled. Her phone remained silent. 9 p.m., 10 p.m., midnight. She had waited long enough. The silence tonight was unbearable. She couldn't wait one more hour. She tied her scarf tightly, grabbed her bag, and without cause for concern for her safety, marched into the Lagos night. The police station was buzzing, flashing lights, uniformed officers moving with purpose, phones ringing, papers rustling. Something was happening. But no one noticed the old woman slip quietly through the glass doors and take a seat in the waiting area. She sat for hours, watching, waiting. Whenever she caught sight of Detective Obinna, he was either deep in discussion or storming down a hallway with a file in his hand. She tried to call out to him once, twice. No response. Then, at 2 a.m., a young officer finally tapped her shoulder. "Mama Njideka, the detective will see you now." The room was dim, lit only by a desk lamp and the blue glow from a corkboard full of notes, timelines, and photographs. Mama sat down slowly, her hands folded tightly in her lap. Obinna sighed and sat across from her. He rubbed the bridge of his nose and looked her in the eye. "I have good news, and I'm afraid, bad news." Mama closed her eyes. "She's gone, isn't she?" A long silence. Obinna nodded. "Yes, Ma. Gloria Philo Odemiemi has confessed to the murder and disposal of your daughter, Sally Njideka." Mama didn't scream. She didn't collapse. The tears came quietly, rolling down her cheeks like warm rain. "I prayed I was wrong," she whispered. "But in my spirit, I already knew." Obinna gave her a moment. Then Mama wiped her eyes, sat up, and asked the question that burned in her soul. "Detective, who is Gloria Philo Odemiemi, and why did she kill my daughter?" Obinna stood and walked over to the evidence board. He pulled off a photograph. A faded, decade-old shot of 3 smiling university students standing in front of the University of Lagos sign. 2 men, 1 woman. He handed it to Mama. She squinted at the image. "Wait, isn't this Mr. and Mrs. Ajus?" she asked. Obinna nodded slowly. "Yes, Ma, that woman in the photo is Gloria Philo Odemiemi. Not Adora Nwankwo, not Chief Nwankwo's daughter. She's an imposter." Mama stared at the image, her fingers trembling. Obinna walked her through the rest. As we know, Chief Nwankwo was a very wealthy man and a target. He was also a widower. After his wife died, he sent his only child, his daughter, Adora Catherine Nwankwo, to school in Switzerland. Quiet, private. Almost no one in this country even knew what she looked like. He did this to protect her. That mistake would cost him everything. Mama clutched the armrest, listening. Obinna pointed to the photo again, the one from the University of Lagos. That's where the betrayal began. Alex Ajus, Gloria Philo Odemiemi, and Emeka Ibe were classmates and friends. He tapped the names one by one. They were bright, ambitious, and dangerous. Mama leaned in. They believed Chief Nwankwo was a lonely, airless man. The plan was simple: infiltrate his world and take everything. Alex posed as a tech prodigy, helped the chief digitize his estate, modernize his files, and earn his trust. He played the role of a humble orphan who just wanted a father figure. Mama scoffed under her breath. Obinna nodded. His goal was to have the chief name him heir, but that never happened, because one day the chief accidentally revealed he had a daughter. Mama sat forward, and that ruined the plan. "Exactly," Obinna said. They needed a new plan, one that involved getting rid of Adora and replacing her. Gloria, his college girlfriend, would fly to Switzerland, locate Adora, and eliminate her. Obinna lowered his voice. And she did exactly that, Swiss authorities found the body of a Jane Doe in the Rhone River 7 years ago. Now, with her prints and DNA matched, we know it was Adora Nwankwo. Mama covered her mouth, devastated. And when Gloria returned, Obinna continued, she came back with Adora's documents and a brand new identity. As far as the world could tell, she was the chief's beloved daughter who had returned after many years. She had been gone for so long, many forgot she existed. Obinna then opened a file folder. And here's where the third player in this evil game came in, the Aju lawyer. Barrister Emeka Ibe had one job, get the chief's longtime family lawyer, Barrister Eche, to disappear. Whether through bribery, threats, or deals, it worked. Eche retired quietly and gave his legal firm to Emeka Ibe under forged paperwork. Mama shook her head in disbelief. Obinna continued. A new will was drafted, clean and legal-looking, that handed over all of Chief Nwankwo's assets to Adora upon his death. The stipulation Chief Nwankwo had written into his will to safeguard his daughter Adora from any future partner was deliberately removed, leaving the way open for Gloria, or Adora, to sign everything over to Alex. Mama's voice trembled. So they killed Chief Nwankwo? That poor man. He sacrificed so much to keep his daughter safe. And it was all for nothing. This is so heartbreaking. Oh, Sally. She dabbed her eyes with Obinna's handkerchief. How did you get caught up in this mess, my daughter? Please take heart, Mama. And in answer to your question, yes, Obinna said. They killed Chief Nwankwo 7 years ago. And with everything looking above board on the surface with the chief's daughter returning, the imposters took everything. Obinna stepped back. That was the lie that ruled that house, until your daughter's meddling landed her feet first in the middle of the fire, and made the fatal mistake of going to Mrs. Aju with what she overheard. There was a long moment of silence. Then once Mama was able to compose herself, she took a deep breath and looked at Obinna. She whispered, "And the good news, detective? We have arrested one Mr. Alex Nathaniel Aju, one Gloria Philo Odemiemi, one unlicensed barrister Emeka Ibe, and barrister Chukwuemeka Eche, the chief's so-called trusted lawyer. They are all now in custody as we speak, charged with the murders of Sally Njideka, Chief Nwankwo, and Adora Catherine Nwankwo." Mama shook her head, trying to find some comfort in the arrests, but all she could think about was never seeing her daughter again. Obinna stepped back. He closed his eyes and breathed deep. We have excavators arriving at Aju Mansion at dawn. Mama Njideka, we will bring your daughter home. Mama collapsed into the chair and wept, her hands trembling as she pressed them against her face. The truth was uglier than she imagined, but now, at least the lies were exposed. By dawn, the quiet street in front of the Aju mansion was no longer silent. A team of uniformed officers had sealed off the perimeter, yellow tape fluttering in the wind. Neighbors gathered in clusters, whispering in shock. Some brought out phones to film. Others crossed themselves quietly. Mama Njideka sat on a bench across the road, her hands trembling in her lap. She hadn't slept. Her eyes were fixed on the part of the mansion where the extension met the old foundation, where Detective Obinna said they would find her daughter. And then, a shout, followed by a flurry of motion. The excavators had stopped. Officers began to form a protective human wall. Obinna emerged from the dust and chaos, his face grave, walking slowly toward Mama. He removed his goggles and lowered his voice. Sorry, Ma. We've found her. Mama's mouth opened, but no sound came. Her hands flew to her chest. Her body caved inward as though her bones had turned to dust. Obinna caught her before she collapsed entirely. They buried her beneath concrete, Ma. Cement poured over her like she was nothing. Mama's cries were not loud. They were low, raw, guttural, sounds from a mother's soul being torn in half. But the story wasn't done unfolding. Later that day, news broke across the country and trended like wildfire. Village Maid exposes fraud in high society circles. Body of real chief's daughter found in Swiss River. Imposter arrested in Nigeria. Fake heiress and husband behind bars in billion-dollar inheritance fraud scheme. Swiss authorities confirmed it. A Jane Doe pulled from the Rhone River 7 years ago had finally been identified through DNA. Adora Catherine Nwankwo, real daughter of Chief Nwankwo. Her remains will be returned, and she will be laid to rest alongside her father. Her name would no longer be forgotten. Obinna arranged for Mama and Sally's body to be transported back to the village with dignity. Before they left, Mama was handed a sealed folder. "This," Obinna said gently, "is what we could recover from your daughter's burnt letter." He didn't say more. He didn't need to. Mama pressed the envelope to her chest. Her daughter had died alone, but she had not died in vain. She would see her home again. And the truth, after weeks of searching, praying, and hoping, would follow behind her, etched into the soil of justice. As Mama reached the village, her breathing hitched with shame. She just knew what the villagers would say. But to her amazement, roads were lined with people, friends, neighbors. Even those felt wronged by Sally. They were there not with scorn, mockery, judgment, not with side eyes, but with sorrow and honor. The small convoy rolled through, 2 police escorts and a dark vehicle in the center. Inside it, Sally Njideka's body, wrapped and cradled in a traditional woven cloth, was finally coming home. Mama looked out at the villagers and a tear left her eye. They saw her daughter as the soul who had brought justice to a good man, Chief Nwankwo, and his daughter Adora. The villagers gathered the day of Sally's burial. People who once gossiped now wept openly. Neighbors, elders, women from the market, school children. They didn't chant. They didn't sing. They simply stood, heads bowed, as Sally returned to the red earth she had once left behind. And the letter, my dear story lovers? Well, it went a little like this. Dear Mama de Mama, I know we usually talk on the phone every day, but I had to write this one. The Ajus gave us new phones, and something about them feels funny. I don't trust it. I feel they monitor our calls in the name of security. But Mama, please don't laugh. I need your advice. I overheard something the other night. Barrister eBay was near the garage, shouting on the phone. He mentioned someone named Barrister Eche and said, "We already paid you millions. Your silence for signing over Chief Nwankwo's will." Then something about going to the police. I don't know if he was talking to this Eche or even to Mr. Aju. But from what I gathered, it sounded like someone's trying to blackmail them, and everything Madam owns might be at risk. Now here's the part I need to ask you, Mama. If it was you, would you tell her? You always say I'm too nosy. You and I argue about that all the time. But this time, I'm not so sure it's just gossip. I don't want to keep quiet if something bad is coming. But I also don't want to be the village girl that loses her job for talking too much. I can already hear you shouting, "Sally, Sally, Sally." How many times did I call you, "Mind your own business"? But Mama, I think this case is different. So I'm asking you straight. Is it meddling, or is it warning someone before the storm hits? Write me back, please. I love you, always. Your daughter, Sally. Mama shook her head and folded the letter. A single tear ran down her cheek. I guess you answered your own question, my daughter. Your madame was not in danger. She was danger herself.